Hello everyone and welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of Summer Game Fest / Playdays / Key 3, whatever it is we're calling the summer gaming events. We're here in Los Angeles. I'm Lucy, joined by Tam, and we've got Danny and Thad to talk about Marvel Rivals. Welcome both.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I mean, how is your show going so far?
Wow, it's been very busy, and we are excited and full of energy to continue making this game the best.
So for those who are not aware, can you give us the overview of Marvel Rivals?
Yeah, 6v6, team-based hero shooter. As Danny likes to say, we put the hero in hero shooter.
I was going to say, you are talking to the right people here, because we are big Overwatch people. So when you say 6v6 hero shooter, it's like,
we know.
It feels like lit up.
Yeah, it feels like Marvel Rivals came out of nowhere. Like usually we have like teasers and stuff like that. It kind of just appeared, and we're like, oh, this is a fully formed Marvel game here. When did the process kind of begin, and what were kind of like the seeds that led to this game?
So at Marvel Games, we always wanted to do a team-based PvP shooter. And we have been looking for developers to collaborate. And luckily, we came across NetEase, who share our same passion to make this come true. And we get talking, and the first time we dropped the debut trailer, and this is where we put a stamp on it and say, we are coming. This is our Marvel's first team-based PvP superhero shooter.
What about from your side, Thad? What was it like to kind of get that call and be like, or have that conversation and be like, oh, we might be doing a Marvel game?
Oh, super exciting. You know, when I first heard about it, my brain lit up with all the possibilities. And, you know, I think the idea of playing as your favorite superhero is so appealing. And I grew up with Marvel comics, as many of us did. And so I have a deep attachment to many of the heroes. And to see these realized in this game in the third-person perspective is just phenomenally fun for me. I love playing as Doctor Strange, for example.
I guess you said, like, you grew up and there's, like, you know, so many characters, your favorite characters. What's the process of picking it from both perspectives? What characters are going to be in here? Because I assume Marvel has ideas, NetEase has ideas, and there's so many of them. What comes first, like the hero or the gameplay?
So definitely the roster comes first. We lock everyone in a room, both Marvel and NetEase. We put on a big giant whiteboard, and we look across over 9,000 Marvel characters and say, which one is the greatest hit? So about 70% of our roster is the heroes that most people know and love, and we throw in some curveball, and then some deep cut as well, just to make it exciting. And from both a hero and villain's perspective, so you can be a villain if you like to.
And then, of course, the gameplay matters. How the characters can team up, how they work together, their kind of associations. And then, of course, we have a very strong narrative in the game as well, an all-new narrative that we're going to continue to tell as the game goes live and continues into the future. And we look forward to really introducing new characters with this narrative, giving them context for the gameplay and so on.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing that stands out most about Marvel Rivals compared to a lot of other 6v6 style shooters. Is like the narrative is a key part of it. People have an expectation when they come to a Marvel game, even if it's one that's like a team-based shooter or hero-based shooter or fighting game, whatever it may be. In other games, they'll be like, yeah, as long as the gameplay is good, it doesn't matter, I'll play it, it's fine. But this is like, the gameplay needs to be good and the story needs to be good, because otherwise these characters are wasted. What was the approach for the story, and how far did you build it out, and how much of it is reacting to the popularity of certain characters or ideas, that kind of stuff?
So we took a lot of inspiration over 85 years of Marvel history.
That's a lot of inspiration.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
that's a lot. We pick and choose with NetEase, and they're a great collaborator. And there's a lot of stuff both sides wanted to do with this story. Luckily, we have all this great character cast that we question constantly. It's like, what are they doing in this world? So we start off with the introduction of both Doctor Doom and Doctor Doom 2099, having a battle of wit and see who's the best. And they cause us a time stream entanglement, which causes new world and old world getting created, or clashes. So heroes and villains has to work together or against each other to try to stop both Doctor Doom from causing further chaos. Now with that as the seed, and we can tell a lot of different stories, like what happened in Isgard, where Loki is a king instead of Odin. What happened to Tokyo in 2099, where the Spider-Verse took over and protect the city. So we have all these possibilities, and we continue to push the boundary of what kind of new and fresh ideas we can tell that you have not seen in other Marvel medium.
Go ahead.
And we've got a lot of other ways that we get you immersed in the narrative and the story as well, from the world building, where you can find Easter eggs throughout the maps, where you can find elements of the story in the map that inform your gameplay, where some of the game modes are focused around the narrative beats as well. And you can look forward to more of this in the future.
Yeah, for people who might not be familiar with the game, haven't played it yet, how are you actually telling this story? Because they might just be thinking, oh, how am I going to get this story if I'm just fighting people all the time?
There are lots of different ways. There's character bios, for example, that explain the context of the hero in this world, in this particular setting. There's the, as I said, the world building elements, where you see elements of the story in the world. There's the character VO lines, where the characters quip to each other and talk about the current state of things. There's some really, really fun moments hidden in there.
One of the things that really sticks out about this game is the visual style. Characters look, I mean, like, when I saw them, I was like having to really look like, who is this? And it was because they visually are different silhouettes, and it seems like you're taking a lot of like risks with how they look. Can you talk about how you decided to do that and the approach for that?
Yeah, from the very beginning of the project, we worked with NetEase to make sure that this game can stand on its own visually. We have a lot of Marvel games out there in the market, and since NetEase is based primarily in the East, and we want to take the Eastern art style and match it with the Western art style, and you can see this very energetic design, very very edgy. It's kind of like anime jumping out from the Marvel universe, and we want to continue having this fresh and exciting presentation, and it also helps when these heroes move very fast and showcase their power through their characters.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be my next question. For people who are familiar with a lot of Marvel characters, and they probably played a lot of games that are focused on them, and usually it's a character in a game and they make the swinging mechanic happen, or if it's, a Hulk game, it's like the jumping and punching. How do you come to a game where you need to have so many different characters and they all need to feel like themselves and satisfying, and also mesh together in a way that is both interesting from a gameplay standpoint but doesn't break the game? So what are the processes in getting there?
That's a great question. It's a very complex one because, as you said, there's a lot of factors. But, I think the most important part of finding the fun, which is what we're talking about, we're talking about how these characters work together, is really iteration and getting user feedback. So as the first time you create something, it's often not very good. And you're like, okay, well, why isn't it very good? And you'll ask the players and the team, why is it not working? What's not working? You'll find the rough edges, and you'll hone them off over time by making changes and testing them again and again. So this iterative process is really key to finding the core of what's fun about this hero. Now, as you said, there's some expectations with some of the heroes, like you expect Hulk to jump and punch. You expect Spider-Man to have webs. So there's some kind of things that just seem inherent to the characters that you need to include. But then how do you make that fun in the context of the gameplay? And that's where iteration comes in.
Is there a specific aha moment where things start to really come together when it that?
Usually, yes. There's usually a moment where you play and you go, that's it, that's the game, that's the core experience. And I love those moments. When you find that with an entire team during a play test and everybody's shouting and having fun, you've got something special.
Go ahead.
No, one of the fun example is, I just mentioned Spider-Man. It's like, how do you make Spidey sense work?
That's a good point.
In a team base. So, and we were playing around with NetEase, and then suddenly one designer say, hey, why don't he just have Spidey sense when someone is near him, which is true to what he does, like sensing danger coming. And they implemented it, and players caught on to it during the alpha test. And they appreciate such attention to details by the NetEase Games team.
And I mean, team-up moves as well, which are really intriguing to me, because obviously when you are playing a team-based game, you want to be in synergy with another person and execute on these moves. How did they come together? How did you decide, who's going to be teaming up with who and what those moves would look like?
Yeah, it's through the narrative as well. So when we build the world with the NetEase Games team, we figure out the maps and the characters and belongs to which world, and figure out like what their relationship is. And with that in mind, and we can begin to start crafting the synergy between characters. The synergy is usually between two or more. We just announced Venom at the State of Play, where Venom literally turned Penny Parker and Spider-Man with symbiote power. And so that's an example of a three-player synergy going on there.
What's the process like for obviously Marvel has its responsibility in making sure the characters are, look and feel true to who they are, and so, but these kind of games, they require quite rapid iteration, and a lot of times, you need to react to how a game is playing and how the community is feeling, and traditional thinking is that probably takes a long time when you're working with a license. Like, what's the workflow like between the two arms to make sure that, you're maintaining that authenticity to the source material and also the game, but also are flexible enough to make sure that what people are experiencing is enjoyable, mechanically, aligning the way it should be?
Yeah, we're all gamers at Marvel Games team. We actually encourage the NetEase Games team to go crazy, right? Doesn't matter what it is. In the beginning, just go crazy, give us everything. And then when we go too much crazy, we can dial it down instead of going upwards. We think of us like a creative team extension from the development team. We work with them daily. We have conversation daily. At the beginning, we're still getting used to the NetEase Games process of iteration. And as we get to know each other more, we tend to go a lot faster in the sense that where we can used to be go from paper in sequence, like paper, implementation, white box, and play. Now we can see 6 steps ahead with them, visualize what it's going to be like on paper, and then the end result is much faster in the iterations.
Right.
I think one of the first things that Danny said to me when I met him was, don't be afraid to break stuff. And as a designer, I love to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, like, NetEase is known for having a lot of experience and history in making multiplayer games. And how much of that, what did you draw from? And in terms of on the Marvel side, what did you see in NetEase that you were like, this makes them a good fit for the game that we want to make and we'll try and make?
So we have partnered with NetEase on a couple of games prior to this, and through that we learned the team culture, and they are very ambitious on a lot of design sensibilities and also feature sets, and that fits our same objective of looking for something different, fresh new ideas, and the culture just fit.
Yeah.
And from my point of view, I've spent my whole career, basically my game career, working on competitive multiplayer games. So, and we've got a great team in the U.S. that has a ton of experience in that regard as well.
Yeah.
So.
I was going to say, like, how much of the kind of team is bringing new ideas to the table, or is it just like you have a set group of people that you're like, these are the people who are going to make sure that we maintain a vision? And I assume, like, people who are, when you open the doors, the wackiest ideas appear.
Both things are important. You've got to maintain the vision to make sure that you're all making the same game, but also great ideas come from everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a designer's job to recognize those great ideas and to get them into the game.
For sure, yeah.
When it comes to adding, so obviously you coming out of the gate with a great roster already of heroes and villains, already teasing and adding new ones in. What does that process look like, especially when it comes to things like balance?
Well, in terms of balance, that's always a tricky one. But, I think our core philosophy for this is that we really care most about making a fun game and not a perfectly mathematically balanced game, right? Because you can make something perfectly mathematically balanced. All the stats average out over time and all this. But what's more important is that everybody's having fun. Nobody's feeling frustrated. And that nobody's feeling like the game is punishing them in ways that they can't counter. The best scenario is, I lost, but I know what I'm going to try next time. Let me get back in there and try that out. So that's kind of the attitude we take towards it.
Yeah, at Marvel Games, we're not shy away from saying, hey, this seems underpowered. Like, please buff XYZ, and we'll play with it and see what happens. And then that iteration process, sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right on the money. It takes a whole village to build this title. And ideas can come from anyone. We're not shy away from having, like, wacky ideas, which is great. A lot of stuff that you've seen in battle come from wacky idea once upon a time, and we make it proper with the team, and it was great.
You had a few, like, play test periods. What was it like to see people actually getting their hands on the game, and what are the kind of things that really came out of that help you push the development into the directions you needed to be, while also ensuring that the people that are playing it are starting to see the kind of reactive nature of designing it?
So since the debut, we have a very, very strong community. On Discord, we are way over 230,000 Discord members, and seeing those positive feedback and also negative, we love them, constructive criticism. We get a sense of what's next and what to watch out for going into the next test, or what need to be fixed immediately, and etc. Right? They are our evangelize our product without us doing heavy marketing work, because we're not at the stage of marketing this. We just want to test it and put it on people's hands to play as much as possible. So we want to thank the great Discord community for help driving this. It's a grassroots-based title, if you will, which I have not seen.
And as game developers, of course, we're extremely passionate about the game, and to see a positive response is just so satisfying. But then also to see the criticism, as Danny pointed out, is incredibly useful for us, because we take that to heart. We say, oh, okay, what is the community thinking? What are the major pain points that we're seeing, and how can we address these in a way that makes the game better?
For sure.
Well, thank you both for coming down. Just before we wrap, I wanted to ask, we saw a little glimpse of Venom and everything. What else can you tease when more playtests, etc. are happening? How can people get in?
So at the end of June, we will announce for the console player, both PlayStation 5 and Xbox XS, how to join the beta. For existing PC player, just wishlist it on Steam, and they will get notified when the time comes to request for beta test keys. And we have many, many more stuff coming between now and beta, so please watch out for it. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.